Is the DUP trying to scupper a new law designed to promote organ donation here? One high-profile campaigner says he's suspicious about the timing of a bill from the MLA Alistair Ross, which will conflict with another bill promoted by his Ulster Unionist counterpart Joanne Dobson. The Dobson bill, which is due before the Assembly in months, will work on the basis that people want to donate their organs after death, while the Ross bill will maintain the current opt-in system. Campaigner Joe Brawley says he believes the new DUP bill is designed to torpedo the Dobson bill. Joanne Dobson and Alistair Ross, I'm pleased to say, are with me now. You're both very welcome to the programme. Alistair Ross, is your private member's bill an attempt to torpedo Joanne Dobson's?
Well, of course, if my amendment bill, and it's a very minor amendment to existing legislation, if it was to be passed, it wouldn't block Joanne Dobson's bill in any way. But let me say this, Mark. Both myself and Joanne believe in the same end point, and that's to get more organs available for transplant. But we disagree on how we get there. We start on the assumption that most people can live their lives without ever having to take a decision about organ donation, without having that discussion with their family members, and without ever having to take an actual decision about it. There's two different ways in which we can deal with that issue. Joanne's preference is for the Assembly to effectively take that decision for people. So the bill would mean that every adult in Northern Ireland is considered as a willing organ donor. My preference is actually that decisions should be made by the individual about how their organs are donated upon death, and that informed consent is very, very important to me, and that's why I felt it necessary to bring forward an amendment bill to ensure that that informed consent, individual choice, is maintained within the system.
So you support opt-in?
Yes, absolutely.
But your party colleague, Edwin Poots, who's the Health Minister, said, and I quote, "An opt-out scheme with a strong educational emphasis will fully maximise the number of organ donations we have in Northern Ireland." You're out of step with the senior member of your own party, the Health Minister.
Well, the Health Minister will bring a statement to the Assembly in the next number of weeks in which he'll outline where the future direction of his department will be going. I don't believe that presumed consent or the opt-out system is actually the magic bullet that some believe it is. Let's look at Sweden, let's look at Norway, let's look at Chile, Brazil. It hasn't worked there. In fact, it's been counterproductive. I don't want anything that potentially could jeopardise the number of organs that are available, but I honestly believe that the amendment that I'm offering the Assembly will present a decision point to people which will encourage people to voluntarily sign up to the organ donor register and ensure that there's that informed consent given by each individual. OK,
Joanne Dobson, Alistair Ross says you both want the same outcome, you just want to go about it in a different way. Do you accept that?
I'm disappointed, Mark. Obviously, as a long-time campaigner for organ donation, you know I have 20 years' experience with these charities that are all behind my bill. Don't forget, I launched my bill in November 2012, and after I wrote to every single MLA last June, asking them to come to speak to me as the bill progresses. Alistair didn't take that opportunity to come to speak to me directly.
Well, I did respond to the consultation. I have been meeting with you every month in the old party group and organ donation.
He didn't respond to my direct letter to come to speak to me, as others MLAs took up that offer. But I'm somewhat baffled. What we do not want to do, Mark, ever, is confuse the public. We want to get the right bill, which is soft opt-out. We don't want to confuse the public. What I'm saying, and I'm making a plea to Alistair here tonight, work with me. Can I give you an example? His party colleague, Lord Morrow, is bringing a very plausible bill on human trafficking through the Assembly. If, for example, I had an issue with it, which I don't, I would do Lord Morrow the courtesy of rapping his door, going to speak to him about concerns I had, not putting in something that's counterproductive.
So why didn't you do that? Why didn't you knock the door and have a chat with Joanne Dobson before you tabled your own proposal?
I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say that. 2 years ago we had a debate on this in the Assembly and I outlined my opposition, including other members as well, outlined the opposition to presumed consent. I've been meeting with Joanne in the all-party group and organisation over the last number of months.
And what is your motivation for the way you want to go rather than the way Joanne Dobson
wants to go? I don't think it's ethically right.
What does that mean? What does that mean, ethically right?
Right. For example, the bill would mean that the Assembly has decided that every individual in Northern Ireland has decided that they are willing organ donors. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's appropriate.
But they have the option of opting out if they want to.
Well, I don't think that the refusal of somebody to opt out or the sense that they haven't opted out is the same as them opting in. You cannot consider the two things.
But it's still also the case, isn't it? And this is where the confusion can be. It's still the case, even, and this is because it's the soft out, or how it's the soft option, is that family consent is still necessary, even in Joanne Dobson's scheme.
And let's examine that very situation, okay? And I've spoken to people who have been in the most tragic of circumstances where their loved ones have been in a trauma unit in a hospital, and they haven't had the conversation about whether or not their husband or wives or mothers and fathers have to take a decision about what they want to happen to their organs upon death. Now, in Joanne's bill, those people will never have to come to a decision and make their notion about what they want to happen to their organs. What I'm trying to do is to ensure that certainty and that clarity is in place, because it's presenting people with an opportunity to make their decision during their lives.
Well, let's hear what Joanne Dobson's response is to that. I mean, Alistair Ross's case is, his is in fact clearer. His proposal is clearer, and it actually deals with any confusion in the minds of anybody who would find themselves in this very difficult circumstance.
It certainly isn't, Mark. A tick box and a driving licence. Not everyone has a driving licence. I'm clear, I'm focused, and I know I have the public behind me, the charities behind me. Everyone is fully behind soft opt-out. You made a very important point. Family consent is at the heart of soft opt-out, and this will actually, my bill, will strengthen people's human rights, because for the first time, if you're against organ donation, you will have the opportunity to opt out, and if you are opposed to it, then your wishes cannot be overridden.
OK, can you two now agree on this issue? Can you find a way in the weeks and months ahead to actually square the circles so that you're singing off the same song sheet?
Well, I made an offer this morning on radio to Alistair. My door's always open. Come to me. I wrote to you last June. Come to me and we'll discuss it. Don't confuse the public. I'm drafting stage of the bill. This could be incorporated within the bill.
And the two biggest drivers for organ donation are public awareness, and I must commend Joanne for all of her efforts in terms of getting it on the public radar. So public awareness.
Well, you've got it on the public radar, and now you want to scupper it.
Well, because I have a difference of opinion in terms of how we get there, doesn't mean that I should be silent on it. I think it's absolutely important that we robustly debate issues of legislation. But let me make the second point. What we need to do is ensure that we have specialist nurses in places in all of our hospitals. The countries that have the largest numbers of organ donors are the ones that have transplant coordinators in their hospitals. That will make a bigger difference than any of the sort of stuff we're talking about.